تذكر يوما كنت تعانق دمعة الفكر تناجي الله في صبر وترجو رحمة تسري فعاش القلب إخلاصا وصرت تحوم.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to this video. This video is part of a playlist where I cover how to create the site. So today we're gonna cover the HTML. So we're gonna cover these buttons right here. I'm not gonna cover the styling. You could style this the way you want it. Right? This is how I styled it. So yeah, we're gonna cover the HTML and the JavaScript, and not the whole entire JavaScript. We're only gonna cover these input tags up here. So changing the name or the title, titled or title number 3 or number 4, and then the extension. So I'm gonna make this a .html or a .bat or .javascript. Actually, I might do .css, and then save it. As you can see, we got a CSS file that is named title 4 up here, and it has nothing inside of it. And then you could also open. So yeah, let's cover that. I created an index.html file, and then I put these contents inside. So we have this input tag up here, right there, and we also have this open button, and this has nothing, or this does nothing, right? This open does nothing, but this input does something. It opens the file picker. We also have this this other input, which is this right here. Right, so up here is our open, like getting our file. Down here is where we get our the file name, file extension, and the save. And then down here is our text area. We're not going to use an actual text area, because in order to save, like, I'm going to just show you. I'm going to get rid of this. I'm going to get rid of this, and I'm going to write this file is styled, right? And then I'm gonna make this underlined, make this italic, make this underlined as well. No, actually no, bold. Maybe change the font. So yeah, font color. So yeah, and then when you save it, right, I selected yes. And so this file, it actually contains our actual HTML code. And when you press yes and you open this and you open that same file, it's gonna render the HTML into our div. And that's why we're not using a text area, because a text area is only, you can only change, I guess, the value or the text, the text content. You can't actually write HTML in a text area element. But with this div that has content editable set to true, you could write actual HTML here. So like, I'm gonna write B. This is bold. As you can see, this is actually bold. So yeah, you could write HTML here. So when we save, we're actually saving the HTML inside of this div element into our file, and then when you load it, we're actually loading that into our element right here. So yeah. And then in my JavaScript, as you can see right here, looking here, I have script folder, and this script folder has two folders, one named library or lib, and the other named source, src. So yeah, my lib folder has nothing inside of it, while my source one has load.js, And then right here I connected my JavaScript, or yeah, my HTML to my JavaScript. And then I went ahead and I got all these, right? These semicolons not really needed. So yeah, I went ahead and I got all of these elements. So I got the input, I've got the open, and I've got all of these right here. Yeah. So for my open element, which is open E, right, I'm gonna add an event listener. And this event listener, it would listen for click, and then when it is actually clicked, it would run this, and when it runs, it should click. So every time we click our open element, we're actually clicking our open input, open I. So right there, click on it, opens, as you can see. And then right here, maybe even like, yeah, actually I'm gonna leave it like that. And then we want to add an event listener to so yeah, actually I'm gonna write open, and yeah, right there, just so not like, so we know what each part is doing. So right here, when we actually, maybe I should, yeah, it's a lot easier to, yeah, it's a lot easier to start with the, maybe not, yeah, probably not, yeah, I'm not gonna do it. So yeah, I'm gonna just start off with the loading of data. I thought I should like start with like saving the document, which is this, saving this, right, the content of our Dropbox. I called it Dropbox, but you could call it text area if you want to make it sound. So right here, I'm going to code up this. Now this event listener is not going to check for click, it's actually going to check for change. So every time our document changes or our input changes, so when we load a file, right, so right now currently we have no files. When we actually load a file, then we have a file, right, and that file has a name, and it has like last modified, and it has yeah, it has many other stuff. I'm gonna show you guys. So this has a name, and I'm gonna show you a problem that I ran into, which is when we open a file, right, we have this file, but we don't clear our input field, then we open the same file, then it's gonna cause a problem, because then there is no change, right? So when we open a file, right, I'm gonna just show you right here, just very easy, console.log change. So right here, what it's doing is listening for change, and then it's gonna console.log change. So our input, our open input, right? So right here, so open inspect, and wait for our console right there. I'm going to choose a file. I'm going to choose this QuranTube.jpg, and then I'm going to open it. As you can see, there is change, right? So there was no file, and then now there is a file. And then what if I go and I open the same change, or the same file? Then there is no change, right? I started off with a file. It has like some attributes. It has like some data or information. And then I open the same file, which has the same information, which is the same file. Then there is no change. So yeah, that's a problem that I ran into, but it's very easy to solve. So yeah, right here, this is it right here. So yeah, maybe we should, yeah, I'm gonna just go and change that problem so I don't forget about it later. So yeah, every time there is change, it looks for change, but every time we click, it should actually, let me show you. Console.log. So our open I.value. So now it's not console.logging change, it's actually logging the value of the element, right? So it's logging the value of the input file, or the input element. So going right here, when we input a file, as you can see, it gives us the name, which is right there, and it gives us a URL, which is fake path, right? It doesn't actually give us the actual path, it gives us fake path. And we could just clear it, right? If we do open I.value equals empty strings, then, and we try and go into our input file dot value, and we check, now there is no URL, right? And now we can open, and you can also see right there, there is no name. And then we could open the same file again, and now there is change. So basically like wiping the board and then putting the information again, then there is change. So yeah, we're gonna do that. So right here, we're basically saying open I.value equals empty strings. So right here, now we can open the same file over and over again. Alright, right there. Even if I press the same file again, as you can see, there is change. So it says it twice. So now we don't have to console.log. Now we can get our variable. So yeah, we're gonna take the information from the file. First, I'm going to show you guys. OpenI has a .files, and this is an object. So when we do this, maybe this, yeah. Oh, I forgot to console.log this. And now I'm going to open this file. As you can see right here, we have this file list, and then we have an object inside of it, 0, and then we have this object inside of it. As you can see, it has last modified date, name, size, and type. So this is a type image. You could just like go here and set it to accept just like maybe .text, but I don't want to do that. I want it to accept basically everything. But the main thing is that it has this file inside of it. So we're going to go here and read this file. Open files right there. We're going to read it. First, we're going to declare a variable, and that variable would be our new file reader. And then we should also have a file, right? A variable file, and this variable file will equal the file. Oh, yeah, I called it OpenI. So our OpenI files, remember we had this files, right? We can just go and grab the first one. So this reader would this reader would read this file, which is the first file in our open element or our open input tag. So we're going to first read our file. So reader, this right here, dot read as read as text, and we're going to read the file as text, and then we're going to say reader onload, right? So once it loads, so once it loads, then we want to get the information, right? So which is right here. Yeah, we could just like say text area, which I declared down there. So text area dot inner text equal to our reader dot results. Alright, so going here, yeah, it's gonna just take it and give it to it's gonna put it right here. So I'm gonna choose a file. I'm gonna choose this, and as you can see, it gives the information of that file into here. So I'm gonna actually open an actual file, right? I'm gonna create one right here. I'm gonna make it test. I'm going to open this with Notepad and fill up I'm going to write some HTML here, which does nothing, right? And yeah, so right here, as you can see, the information is inside of our div. So yeah, we have this, and you could like I did up here, you could get the users, or whether the user wants to write down or save the HTML or not. So right now I'm not going to ask that because this is already a pretty long video and I don't want to make it any longer. Alright, so yeah, so we have our open. We can also use our open tag or our open button right here, and then which is just the same file. I can get rid of this and then open again, and we get the information. So now I'm gonna move on to the save. The saving is actually pretty easy to do because we're using this this file saver, which is right here. So inshallah, I'm going to post the this URL. I'm going to post this URL in the description box, so be sure to check that out, right? And it's right here. You go into the dist, right? and then you get filesaver.js. You could get the minimized version, and this takes up less space. But I'm going to go right here, and this is the one we're doing, right? So you could press copy raw contents, and then head to our library, and we're going to create a file named filesaver.javascript. Here we paste in our code, and then we can get out of this. And don't forget to link. So right here. And then we could make it so that we should actually, we're gonna get these input tags and the information inside of these input tags, and then we're going to move on to the actual saving, right? So this is all done. We're going to go down to our saving. So first one is the file name. So we're going to add an event listener. Actually, I'm going to show you first show you the file saving. So once our file saving button is clicked, right, then we're going to initiate this, where it saves the file. So this just runs a file, a function called save file, which I'm going to declare right here. And this save file, all it does is it grabs, it grabs the information out of these files. So the first one, or the first thing that we're going to do is, you have a choice. You can save the inner text, right? So I'm going to just show you. This is the inner text. See the so this text area, right? This element right here. We can get the inner text, and this is very important, right? As you can see, this is an inner text, and as you can see, those /ns, that means break, right? So that inner text, I'm going to add this, right? Hello. As you can see, I had that \n, right? I had that \n, and then I added hello. So right there. So that's actually something we could actually do, right? We can grab the inner text and then paste it in here, or save that inner text, or we could just save the inner.html, right? Or instead of using the inner text, we could just do the text content, which is about the same thing. So yeah, we have different options, right? This inner text does not show us the breaking points and all that, but this text area, or this text area.inner text does. So yeah, we have a choice of saving either of those. Right here, what I did is, when the person presses no, then it saves the actual content, right? The text, the inner text, and when they press yes, it saves the inner HTML. So yeah, you could actually do one of these. And as you could notice, when I save, right, it's the option that I picked saves with the browser, and that is because I'm using local server, or I mean cookies. So local storage, local storage. So I'm using local storage, and it changes the value. So when I press on this, it changes the value. When I press on this, it changes the value. So yeah, with this, right, we could, as I said, we have different options. So yeah, you could make your user pick whatever you want. But for now, I'm going to just save the inner text. Or actually, the inner text. So first we should grab our element, which we already did down there. So it's text area, and this text area we could grab the inner text or the inner HTML. So this is important. We're going to grab the inner HTML and leave it for later. First, we should create a file. In this file, I'm going to call file, a variable called file. And this is a new file. The thing about this is that it takes this array, and this array is the content of the file. So we want the content to be the inner.text. The text area.inner HTML, not the text. So you could just like change this to a .text, but it's better off if you leave it for inner HTML, because this later on when you're doing the style, it grabs the actual HTML, right? So it takes an array, and then it also takes the name, which for now I'm going to keep title name, and then as you can see there's a ... meaning this is not created, right? I couldn't find, it says right there, couldn't find, or what does it say? Couldn't find name, title name. Did you mean file name? Nope, I did not mean file name. We're gonna create that title later. So it's actually very important that you put the type to equal text plain character set UTF-8 or -8. So now let's create this file. We're gonna create it right here. So we have file name, right? We're gonna add an event list now. Actually, as you can see, this title name, I should probably say untitled plus type variable, and this is not created, right? So we should create this, and this was our extension, right? This is our extension, so this would automatically be a .txt. So if the user does not define our type, then it's going to be .txt. If they don't define our untitled or the title, then it's going to be untitled. So we're going to first detect whether they're writing in. We're going to check for change. So when the user writes something to our file name, we're going to check if the file name, we're going to check if the file name is if the file name has value, right? So file name.value is equal to, actually I'm going to do file name, or actually file extension. I'm going to do file extension. So first it checks for the file extension. So if if the file extension is equal to empty strings and our file name dot value is also empty strings. So if there is no information, right? If it's just pure empty input tag for our file name and for our file extension, then the title name, which is this variable right here, is going to equal the same thing up here. So it's not going to change. And you could just like simplify this and just write .txt. And then it's also going to check else if. So if that is not true and one of them is changed, right? If they're not both empty and 1 second, why did I do this right here? And our file extension has, our file extension has information is not, the information is not empty, then we could set the title name, title, I spelled that wrong. I just noticed I spelled that wrong. So DD right here. Control D selects the selected text you have. And the next element that looks like it. So our title name would actually equal so if our file name, right, this value right here, if that is empty and there is information here, then assign the information right here. We're going to assign the value. Else if this is not true and there is no information in file or file x value right here, if this is not true and there is information in the file name right here, then our title. I'm doing this I'm doing this this file naming right after I did save, right, so that we could just check all this out at once. I don't want to be downloading a bunch of files on my computer because I already did that, right? When I was creating this to test it, I had to download a lot of files, making sure that these two worked and making sure my save button worked. So if there is no information about our dot right here, right, our extension, if there's no information about our extension, then we should make our extension .txt. But if there is information about this, if there is information about file name, then there should be a file name.value. And if none of this is true, right, if none of this is true and they both have information, then title name would be equal to both variables. So we have this, and then we have the exact same thing, just this time it listens for file name. Nothing really changes here, except that actually nothing changes, absolutely nothing. All this code stays the same. So we're just checking to see if there is information here and there is no information here, and information here and no information here, or if there is information in both, or there is no information in both up there. So yeah, and in this save file, it creates a file, right? I left off midway, I guess. So it saves a file right there, and it's supposed to save it, like actually save it, because right there it creates a file, and with our library we can save it. So you have different options, right? Like I said, input tag, or input text, or input not input text area dot inner text and dot inner HTML, and you also have dot inner text content. I recommend this dot inner HTML, but or you could just like do both the inner text and HTML. So with our library, there is this function you could call, and it saves a file. So it takes an argument of a file, right? So it's actually, so it's save as, not save add. It's save as, and it takes this file, not s file. And with this, if this is like, this is a, I don't know why it's putting a dot like that, but it's a function that is defined in our file saver. And right now we can go and test this out. So we're going to say hello. I hope this doesn't break. Hello, HTML. You know what, I'm gonna just put hello. As you can see, hello right there, the text, and we can open this, and as you can see in our notepad it says that right there, and we could just write save again hello.1, and probably like, what is that? That is actually I forgot what it was called. Unicode? I forgot what it was. But yeah, since this is HTML and we're writing this in a div, if we go to our text area dot inner text, for our inner HTML, that's what it shows. See that right there? Now if this were to run in this div right here, then that would be considered HTML, right? This would be considered HTML, and it would render as HTML. It would work the same way as HTML does. This would be an opening tag. But since this is in HTML, we don't want this to run as HTML. We want it so that we can see it, but it doesn't run like HTML. That's why there is all that numbers, right? All that, this right here. So yeah, so we basically have the choosing, or our opening our file, and we have the saving and getting information into our text area. So yeah, inshallah, in the next video, hopefully in the next video, I'm going to talk about the coloring or the styling, and maybe, yeah, I'll probably cover this right here, where if you press yes, it saves the HTML, and if you press no, then it saves the text area. Yeah, okay, so assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, guys. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe and like if you benefited from this video in any way whatsoever. So thank you guys.
فينمو الورد بساما وينشر أطيب العطر وتحيا في نجاحات بنور الحق والنصر.